I think we like a good scare once in a while, unless it's, real. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great day. I am having a good day as well. I just got done finishing watching The Town That Dreaded Sundown, the 1976 film. Now, this is something I didn't even know it was based off a true story. Apparently, this was a really big thing during like the 1940s, right after World War II, when soldiers were coming back in a small town, Texas, where there was a serial killer. And this is based off a story where the serial killer still was never caught. What they do in this is they show everything that happened. Now, is it all facts? I have no idea. I didn't really look into it. I just want to talk about the movie itself. I'm not a true crime channel, but I just wanted to talk about this movie and give my feedback on it like I usually do. Going into this movie, I didn't really know what I was expecting. I actually heard about this slasher inspirational movie before, and a lot of people said it was based off of a true story, so I decided I'm going to check it out. It starts off, you never actually see the killer's face, which is no way! Makes sense. The more and more I kept watching it, you actually could see very, very inspirational things from popular slasher films that we got to see in the 80s, even in the late 70s, before this movie even came out. Like Friday the 13th Part 2, what do you think Jason looks like? It's one of those kind of things I thought was really interesting. So this is, like I said, apparently this is based off of a true story, so I'm gonna just talk about it for the movie in general, but it starts off where you see a killer, and this movie is not very grindhouse. It doesn't show a lot. To me, I almost like it more that it doesn't show you right in the face of what's going on. It's more of just like there's killings but it doesn't show the gore. Like there's a little bit of blood but it doesn't show a lot, and I almost appreciate that a lot, especially someone who watches a lot of horror, a lot of slasher films. So when I get to see something that doesn't show a lot, I actually appreciate it more, especially if the story is pretty good. And how the story starts off is it's this boy and this girl are out in the woods and they're shacking up, and that's when the hood of the car gets pushed down, and that's where you see the killer. He actually takes the cords out of the car so the car can't run, and that's where it all goes downhill. And it's so dragged out compared to other slasher films where it's very quick cuts and edits of how they do these killings and stuff. But this wasn't. It wasn't boom, boom, boom. It was more just like a long one where it would slowly gravitate towards what we were going to see. And I almost appreciate that a lot more than I thought I would. But after that, that's where it starts off. That's when we start off where the cops are trying to find this killer. And then they find a cop named Wolf, who never has failed at trying to find these killers. And the thing is with this movie is it is definitely a cat and mouse game where the killer does something every 21 days and the cops are trying to figure out who did it, and they're trying to do stakeouts. They even have other cops dressed up as women. What did he say? And they go out to these fields and these spots to try and catch this killer, and they never can. My favorite part of this whole movie, I think the best scene is it's after a dance and this boy and girl go out. The cops are already doing stakeouts and they already went to this area, but guess what? Nobody stayed out there. This boy and girl go out there, and this is the longest one of it. The killer appears and he, almost gets them. And they're about to leave, and then the killer grabs on the side of the car while they're driving. They're trying to get him off, and it was crazy to see, especially because older, you could definitely tell this is a lower budget movie. And they finally crash, and the killer pulls the guy out, and they fight for a few moments, and the killer kills the guy. Well, it doesn't even kill him, he hurts him. And then you have this long drag moment of the girl running away from the killer, and with all that, I actually am like, oh, is she gonna make it? Well, she does not. And the killer ties her up around a tree. While this is happening, the man is alive still, and he's slowly trying to leave. And in my head, I was like, I don't know, man. Granted, this is a true thing, so I don't know. I hope I'm never in this situation, but he didn't try to fight off the killer. He actually just tried to run. And the killer, instead of using a regular weapon or anything, he actually just used a gun, which just blew my mind. It was just watching slasher films, you're used to them using knives or axes, anything that's not a gun. In this one, he pulls out a gun, just shoots the boy and kills him. And then we get to the part where he ties the girl up to the tree. This is the part where I kind of not the biggest fan of. He gets a trumpet because she's a band kid, and he ties a knife at the end of it, and he's testing it out, and he like starts stabbing her to death like that. And I was like, wow, that's a little much. I feel like that might be my favorite. The whole little scene of that whole thing might be the best part about it, because like I said, this movie, when it shows the killer doing these things, it's not quick edits. It's not trying to scare you in a way like regular slashers do. It's very drawn out. It's very long pauses of things going on, and all you hear is just the breathing. And when you show the killer, he's breathing, his mask's going in and out, because he's just wearing a bag over his head. So when you see these elements of the story going into it, it's actually really interesting. I find it really interesting. And then they made the law, this was before this, where you cannot go out past sundown. So no one left, no one would leave. And I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. And then we get to more where you have parts where the police officers are talking to a therapist, and they're talking about what might be the drive of why this killer is doing these things. And the whole time that it's happening, the killer is actually in the building listening to him, and only thing you see of the killer when he's not wearing a mask is his feet. And predominantly most of the time they show below the knee, and that's about it in this movie for the killer. And I almost like that more. It gives it more mystique of who this killer is. And spoilers, you don't know who the killer is, because he was never caught. And at the ending of it, the killer gets chased through the woods, and he gets shot, and he goes into the bayou, and well, no one knows what happened to him. He's just gone completely. And I actually really appreciate those elements. The element of not really knowing what's going on. And truthfully, I mean, I'm not a big fan that this is a true fact that he was never caught. I wish he was caught. Them doing this part in the movie, I think it's more authentic that he wasn't caught. He wasn't, and no one knows who he really was. I think that's just more of the authentic side of things, and being like, oh, he was actually caught. See, everything works out. Because the truth of the matter is, we live in times where not all good things happen. Watching this movie, I really actually appreciated it. And then we have one survivor who, at the end, she drags her body. She gets shot, and she just drags herself through the corn maze until she finally finds somebody to save her life. It was actually insane to watch. I was like, holy crap. And the whole time, clearly, I thought she was going to die. But no, she made it and she survived. But with that being said, I actually really appreciate it. Then they explain a little more what happened to each police officers that were on this case, and a lot of them kept on this case until they retired, which just is crazy to think how much these cops are just addicted to their job of trying to catch this killer. I just was like, holy crap. I mean, when you're dedicated to your job, that's all you want to do. You're trying to get better. You're trying to find this killer and trying to end it. So I really did appreciate and enjoyed this movie. Now, if I had to give this an honest rating, I give it like a 3.5 out of 5. I don't think it's like the best movie I've ever seen, but it was actually a really fun movie, and it made me interested to look a little deeper into what actually happened, just from my own curiosity. I thought it was really fun and almost haunting a little bit too. I mean, this was during the 1940s as well, so DNA, I don't even think DNA was a thing. You couldn't even like track someone's DNA yet until I think it was like the 80s or the early 90s. I don't think DNA was a thing, honestly. It was just harder for these killers. I mean, it was harder for these police officers to find these killers. So I was like, this is a really fun movie. And with that being said, if you guys have any other movies that were like based off of true stories or anything, let me know down below. Would love to check them out. I love just watching these kind of things. I appreciate this more than like the Netflix shows of Monster. I'm not a big fan of those. I think those are just so bad. It really, I can get a whole video about why I just don't like those. I don't agree with them. But with this, I do enjoy this a lot. And if you guys made it to the end of the video, I just gotta say, stay safe, everyone.